Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to Livesbook Technologies, world's first company which prepares children to become entrepreneurs while still studying in schools. Today, we have our guest who is the CEO of chain of Radcliffe schools in majority of states in India. And what else? What else is special about this school is that this school provides high-end quality education to kids and assistance to parents in reasonable fees because they believe that education is every kid's right. Also discuss about your pain area. That is how we can still deliver effective education to our kids, to our children through online classes during this COVID crisis. Help me in welcoming Mr. Manas Singh.
Hello, Manas sir. Welcome to Livesbook Technologies.
Hi Pooja, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. We are grateful to have you here and our audience as parents, school kids, teachers, and other professionals. They would really love to hear things about your story, of course, about Redcliffe and the situation we are facing. So, as a CEO, Redcliffe School as chain is doing for the kids.
So, assuming your question is more into how Radcliffe is different, that's what you want to know.
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
Okay. So, see, Radcliffe was formed with a vision to provide quality education at a very, very affordable price. So, if you see in India now, slowly, uh, education is more seen by parents as an investment rather than a cost. But let's be very frank that this investment is definitely a costly investment. And, when you want quality, it comes with a price. Now, Radcliffe was found with this thought process that can we provide a good quality environment and a strong education system to our students, but despite that, can we challenge the existing system and ensure that we are doing that at a very affordable price. So if you see, Radcliffe operates somewhere around an average of 50,000 rupees annual fees across India, if I take an average, and that boils down to approximately 4 to 5,000 rupees a month, which all inclusive is a extremely affordable price. And we try to give quality education within that price framework, and that's why obviously parents love us, and they are supporting us, and we are growing. But I want to define this term called quality education. Now that's a very, very highly used term everywhere. But if you see, quality education simply means, I mean, obviously, you are affiliated to a board, so you follow the board guideline, but you ensure that you bring in the innovation. You bring in, so syllabus, curriculum, etc. The board defines, but how to teach, and how to teach in a way that child doesn't mug up, but enjoys that learning and retains it is very crucial. So we encourage personally a lot of practical learning. We encourage students to be very curious. We want children to be curious. We encourage curiosity. We don't douse curiosity. We ask them to ask questions in class. We encourage them to ask questions at home. Thankfully, now, unlike our times, there is Wikipedia, there is Google, and there is internet in your in your hand. A device is there in everyone's home. So you can Google, you can get a lot of information from internet. We want children to be good researchers. We want children to be inquisitive, and we want them to learn by asking questions. I think that way, whatever is taught, the curriculum remains the same. So the laws of optics, every school will teach. There is no difference from school to school. But how you learn the laws of optics, how you use it in a practical scenario, what could be the history behind the laws of optics, something like this, when the child curiously researches, the retention of that topic is quite high. And that is what we want to create. And coupled with that, obviously, the extracurricular activities support and focus is there. We want them again not to just go in a ground and play. I mean, that everyone can do. Or we just don't want them to go and learn or just sing. I mean, the focus is on a proper curriculum. The focus is on ensuring that there is a learning of every child, and we encourage children to pick up their choice of sports or performing arts, and we don't limit them to what we want them to learn. So that way, Radcliffe is special, and I feel that world is moving towards quality education at an affordable price, and the entire challenge is how to increase the value proposition of your school without increasing the price. And that is what parents obviously appreciate. And I also want to add that during this COVID pandemic situation, when online became the new normal, online learning, I think Radcliffe picked up this entire thing quite well. And if you see our content, if you see the way we are delivering the curriculum and the technologies we are using, and the after class support and follow up that we are doing, I think that is what defines a proper quality education. So you can very easily say that every school is doing online, but the quality of education that Radcliffe is giving online.
All right, Manasa, you spoke this very beautifully, and it's very special about Redcliffe, how they are managing education and availing education in the normal scenario. However, during the COVID crisis, how is Redcliffe school management and teachers are managing effective online sessions for the students?
So see, I mean, when the shift to online happened, like every other school, we were also a little bit taken aback because, honestly speaking, we were also not ready for an online module. However, we made a strategy. So we started with first clearing the thought process that we are not just going to give online for the sake of a tick in the box exercise. We wanted to do it in such a way that it is effective, it is helpful for our students and parents, and it is truly quality and not just given just like that. So what we did is we first started with a we divided our modules into first revision. So we did a assessment module where we sent some questions to our students to assess their previous year knowledge. Then we did a bridge course. All these things we did in April, and then finally we started our live classes. And at the same time, we also ensured that our teachers are trained, because one of the biggest challenge of teaching online is that teachers, you might be a brilliant physics teacher, but you may not know how to deliver the same lecture online. So we ensured that we invest heavily into teacher training and making them understand the nuances of online. And that is how we started. Then obviously we also ensured that we create assessments online, we give results online, and all these things over a period of time then started giving us results. I am not saying we are perfect today also. We are definitely we still definitely need to improve, and parents also give a lot of feedback, so we are inculcating it. But having said that, I think we are on the right track. The system is doing well, parents are appreciating what we are doing. So that's how we shifted online, and those are the things we did. Now I also want to add that now we are adding a module of offline videos where the entire content of a class along with the related exercise from the books are also created by the teachers. The idea here is to reduce the live online screen time as told by the government, and but at the same time also ensure that the student education continuity is not compromised. And finally, this also gives higher flexibility for the parents to teach the student whenever they can rather than at a stipulated time. So we are doing a hybrid model now, which we didn't do in April, and that is how we have done some real advancement in the online style of teaching also.
Oh, that is just great to hear. That's just wonderful to hear. You also talked about inculcating the habits of asking questions, that you are also inculcating the habits that kids can ask the questions. So this asking questions is still there when the kids are taking online sessions?
No, of course. I mean, the only the mode is changing. but we ask our kids to in online, when the live session is happening, obviously there is a process where you can mute and unmute. The teacher can do that, and students can raise their hand virtually, and then you can answer their questions. But otherwise also we are encouraging students to give their questions and their whichever doubts they have over the same online medium, and teachers are able to read that and clarify them either through a chat or next day over a live class again. So we are doing that and it's working fine.
Okay, that's having said that. What do you have to say about the online challenges which parents are facing? So, I would like to share here one of the surveys which we conducted with the parents, and we asked them that. So, on one hand, parents are worried about the health which is being impacted due to online classes or online live sessions. However, when we conducted the survey asking where kids are spending majority of their times in, they mentioned either they are playing games on the mobile, or they are doing the social surfing, or they are playing games on the laptop, or primarily they are watching TV. That is 99% of the times during the days, this is what they are doing. So how do you see these two things going hand in hand? And one, on one side, parents are complaining about the health issues related to taking online sessions. However, on the other side, they're equally concerned that kids are wasting their time and not learning while watching useless cartoons, and while playing games which are not helping them at all.
See, to answer this question, first we need to understand why kids are doing this. Kids are doing that because they don't have any other engagement mode to do anything else. Because as of now, everything is closed, they can't go out. So, what will a child do sitting at home? So, first we need to empathize with the child, that the reason why the child is watching more of TV or surfing the net or playing, let's say, PS4 and other video games and stuff like that is because he or she just doesn't know what else to do to spend time. So that is where the problem is emanating from. Now, the solution to that is the online module that the school is providing. Now, the idea here is that, look, I mean, any exposure to a screen is always harmful for the eyes. That way, even as adults, when we watch TV, even that is not advisable. Let's be very honest about it. However, if you are exposed for a very limited period of time, then there is no problem. Like perhaps depending on the age group of child, it can vary anything from half an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours, depending on the age group. So school is now ensuring, Radcliffe is ensuring that we are providing content in such a way that the child is not engaged over the online classes either through teacher or offline content or videos of not more than those stipulated times. That is one. Second thing is, as parent, instead of making the child concentrate on things like TV and video games and all, the child can actually spend some quality screen time studying, which I think is very useful. And then in the time when they're free after school, they can obviously not go for screens, but spend time with their parents, perhaps read a book, invest time in a hobby or some music or dance or stuff like that. All those things which can be done from home. Sorry. And thus, give a very holistic approach to the child without exposure. So this is what parents can do. Now, answering your second question, which is on challenges of the parent. Now, look, I mean, while we say that teachers have a lot of challenge in teaching online and all, which is definitely true. And, they need to develop suitable content which fits online. And they also need to teach online. There is a element of technology integration, and there is an element of teacher training and stuff like that, which is difficult. And I must say, teachers all across the globe are doing a great job. But we also not should not forget that even for the parent, it is quite tough. So now the parent is working from home and also working for home. So we are all, as parents, we are cleaning clothes, making food, at the same time also not compromising on work. And now one new element which has added is earlier we used to send our child to school, and those 5 6 hours or 3 4 hours, the entire responsibility was on school. But now that the child is studying from home, so that additional burden is also coming on the parent can't just make the child sit in front of the online class and say that okay, now my job is done. So that additional burden is where, it is operationally difficult for parents. They need to also give a technology, additional technology setup. Some parents may not have adequate number of devices, and so on and so forth. But there is also a financial burden on parents that we need to empathize with. Having said that, finally, the biggest challenge is for the student who is alone at home, not doing anything. Making him or her learn online is also a challenge for the student. But this is where I strongly recommend. See, right now, and there is an element of government who is like a governing body. So there is government, there is parents, there is teachers, and then there is students. And they are all at some point, you know, giving directives against each other. Rather than doing like that, wherever the system is working collaboratively, where the school is respecting the guidelines given by the government, the parent is respecting the fact that if they have to expose their child to a screen, let it be for good things, like online teaching, rather than cartoons and stuff like that and TV and all. And students who also need to understand that they need to spend time on things like books and other hobbies after their classes are over. If every person or every stakeholder ensures that their responsibility is taken care of and everyone is working collaboratively, I think this problem will not be there. So these challenges will all resolve. And I think right now also majority of the places the problems are resolved. There is only a 10-20% area where we all need to work together, and hopefully we'll work and resolve it for our most important stakeholder, which is the student.
Right, absolutely right. All right. So the next question is that what is your opinion on the life of online sessions and online learnings from online recorded sessions or online live courses? What do you want to say? Are they good, not good? How can we manage with that?
See, the world, while online things are a little big thing in India right now, the world has actually moved online. See, a lot of the courses are being offered online. The Udemy's of the world and similar type of organization, LinkedIn Learning is there. It is all aimed at online learning courses. So you pay for it, you study at your own flexible time, and you learn and you also get certified. So and there will be some support from the teacher. So that model is already happening, though I strongly feel that that model is easier for the higher grades and higher age group students, and comparatively becomes difficult for very young child like nursery, junior KG and all. But having said that, the model is already there. The only thing COVID has done is that this model has emerged as one of the only way to ensure education continuity. So I think we'll all learn through it. Already India has lived up to things like Byju's and extra marks and toppers and all, where through a tab a child is also visually studying and learning. So it is not that we are totally unaware, but yeah, we COVID will perhaps prepare us and make us more flexible, so that in the future a blended learning or a hybrid learning style will emerge, where definitely one big part would be still offline schools, which really works. But there could be a lot, I see a lot of online entrants coming into joining with the school studies to make it more interesting and make it more realistic and practical for the child. So definitely there is a scope, but obviously within the limits of the the health concerns like limited amounts of screen time and stuff like that. Why not? I'm personally quite flexible to any new normal, and I'm sure everyone will be.
That's just great to hear from you.
So you mentioned about the importance of learning, and you are advocating that importance of learning you realized when you were young, when you were a child, and going through the failures and the challenges in your life. Does learning stop? I mean, does it mean that once we are done with our school or colleges, it stops there, and now it is more like working and taking care of family, but then learning stops here? What do you have to say here?
Oh, I mean, this one answer is the easiest answer to answer, question to answer. I strongly feel that learning is a lifelong journey. It can never be a destination. It is always a journey. So no matter how old you are and no matter how much you have worked, you learn every day. So, but I think what is more important, Pooja, is that crucial part is to ensure that people and students and everyone should be open to this learning. Lot many times, we are not ready to unlearn. That is where the challenge comes in. I'll give you a classic example. Now, like I told you, teachers who are fantastic at teaching their grades or subject, sometimes are struggling to teach online because they are not ready to unlearn that. Now the blackboard or the whiteboard method won't work, and I have to deliver the same lecture online. So the style has to change. So obviously that's why trainings are coming into picture and also, you need to learn, you need to unlearn, and you need to again learn. And this process is a lifelong process, and we need to inculcate this mindset in the child that your learning won't stop the day you leave school or college, but be open to that forever. And that's how he or she grows in life, both personally as well as professionally.
That's great. And how much important you believe mindset is for kids to learn? And what is ideally the right age to learn it?
I mean, see, the a child technically learns from his or her mother's womb itself. So there is no age group for learning. Learning is more like a adaptive process. You see, you observe, you learn. So there is no age group limit. I think kids learn. In fact, our kids are learning faster than what we did when we were of their age. So age wise, there is no limit. I mean, the child, the day you are born, from that day itself you start learning. But more importantly, you asked about mindset. Now, I feel mindset is everything. If you don't have a mindset for learning, if you don't have a urge to learn, if you are not open to learn, then you get stuck. And more often than not, even in offices and professional work, you would have observed that some employees or some people who are not ready to learn and not ready to adjust are the people who get stuck in their jobs. And people who are adaptive, flexible, very amicable with their colleagues, talk well, manage people well, those are the people who grow generally. So yeah, I mean, learning, the mindset is everything. I also want to call out this mindset that we need to inculcate some mindset in our kids related to things like entrepreneurship, things like thinking out of the box, things like asking questions. Like I told you, at Radcliffe we encourage that curiosity, but we need to ensure that that curiosity is encouraged at home also. Lot many times we make our child say, don't ask so much, because we ourselves don't know the answer. We should not do that. And that mindset should be there to encourage learning at home, encourage out of the blocks learning. And even to a large extent, once the child grows up, there should be some mindset on entrepreneurship, some mindset on working on its own, and so on. And I want to add this fact that our honorable Prime Minister is very strongly advocating Atmanirbhar as a campaign. Now, when you want to become Atmanirbhar, job not always is the only way to do that. Sometimes thinking out of the works and doing a lot of startups and entrepreneurship also can make you Atmanirbhar. So it is about what you want to choose. But at the end of the day, choose something and be flexible and go with it.
Right, absolutely right. I completely agree with you, and I really appreciate that you picked up the point of entrepreneurship, you picked up the point of mindset. That is what Liveswork Technology is also delivering. So we are taking online and offline sessions. So there are recorded courses, there are live sessions on educating kids on success and startup mindset program through our online platform, and which is really beneficial for kids of all the ages because Liveswork Technologies is taking care that if there are young kids, then uh, we are explaining the same kind of mindset through cartoons in the form of cartoons and play way through games so that they can understand and learn those things. And as you said, that entrepreneurship is important and equally the mindset entrepreneurship, we also believe that is a mindset before it's a skill set because unless and until you're mentally ready to handle your career, you're mentally ready for the troubles and the future to manage future challenges, you are actually not ready for the entrepreneurship. So it's important that before we learn the entrepreneurial skill set, we have the entrepreneurial mindset as well. And this is what we educate kids on. This is what we help kids on. Do you have anything to say about this now?
No, I mean, I think it's wonderful, and if you're doing this, this could be the start of something new. And I'm looking forward to such type of initiatives all across the globe and learning from it and incorporating it wherever possible. So I wish you all success, great initiative, and looking forward to making this into a bigger thing. For education industry and education sector, online teaching will be one of the most crucial style or way of learning. And parents, government, school, and student, all four stakeholders need to understand it, encourage it, and at the same time find solution to some. See, every good solution has some challenges also. So we need to come together, build something better going forward. But the idea is to collaborate. I mean, that would be my message to the entire education fraternity. All the very best to you, all the very best to all the parents, all the students, and all the teachers all across. And I wish everyone more than anything, safety, and of course education continuity. Thank you so much, and it was such a pleasure to be with you on this session.
That the friends, those who are watching this video, will follow these learning and also share some with their kids to learn from you and keep growing in their lives despite whatever happens in their lives. Thank you so much, Manas sir. We are grateful to have you here.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about this very crucial topic. Sure. Thank you so much, Pooja. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Take care.